All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're here for another edition of our monthly webinar at Denim Social. And in a digital age, it's so important to meet customers where they are. And as time goes on, social media and digital interactions are becoming a natural part of how we're doing business. This may or may not come as a surprise, but people are searching for you on social media. So think about this. Even if you get a flyer in the mail, or maybe you see someone on a billboard, or you're going to look them up. So when you do that, their social media profiles will show up. And social media can tell us so much more about a person than a website or a flyer or a billboard can. It gives us a better idea of who they are as people and what they would be like to work with. So as we say here all the time, people buy from people. So that social presence can be a gateway for customers. And today we've got some great examples from our friends at GoPrime Mortgage. So a big thanks to them for letting us feature their social profiles. But before we get started, for those of you that we don't know, my name is Kelly Rouse, and I'm a customer success manager here at Denim Social. I work with our customers on a daily basis to maximize their usage on the Denim Social platform and help them with their social selling strategies as well.
Hi, everyone. I'm Connor Phillips. I'm the marketing manager here at Denim Social, and I help support the team with all things communications, content, marketing, and learning about all the great social media trends to share with you all. So with that being said, let's dive in. Okay, so the reason we wanted to do this webinar on social media profile best practices is that we come across profiles all the time that are either incomplete or missing key information. And in fact, there are studies that have shown that the majority of professional accounts don't even have a complete profile on any of the given networks. And even better, there's a lot of professionals that aren't on social media at all. So that's the first step, is just being there and having a presence. If you're not there, people can't find you. So just think about how many missed opportunities that could be for you. And then once you have a profile and you're on the social networks, then it's time to optimize. So while it's great and it's super important to be on there, you can always do better and be looking to optimize. So let's look at a few reasons to get started before we jump into the specifics. So first of all, we've talked about it a lot before in previous webinars, but social media really is the new search engine. So especially for younger customers, social is the first place they're going to think to search for you or for a financial service provider. And it's going to be on social. So this is because users know that the networks just are a wealth of information, and they can get all the practical details like your address, your contact info, hours, your email, but then they can also get better insight into who you are and if it would be a really good fit to work with you based on what you have on your profile. So that leads us into, first impressions really matter. If customers are searching for you on social media, you want to wow them or at least provide them with what they're actually looking for. So just like you want to present yourself well in person, as these relationships move more and more online and digitization continues, you want to have that good first impression there as well, just like you would in person. So you can kind of think of your profile as your new business card. When someone looks at it, they should be able to tell what you do and how to get in touch with you at the very least. And then it should also look really uniform and well put together and have good branding across networks. And the great thing is that you can share with people anytime, anywhere. You don't have to have like a physical card to hand to people. And that makes it so easy for you to connect with more customers, more prospects. If you have a solid presence on all the networks, you'll be surprised at how many people can find you, and you're getting in front of a lot more eyes than you would be able to if you were just leaning on those in-person conversations.
Yeah, absolutely, Connor. I agree with you. And I love that you said that. Your profile pages, they really do act as your digital business card. So You want to make sure that you're putting your best self forward for your audience and for potential customers. So just think about it like this at a glance, what are you wanting people to know? All right. And as usual, we do love to provide context on why this stuff is so important. So let's just take a quick look at some numbers on how having an optimized profile can lead to some good things. And I know that when I saw these, some of these stats were really eye-opening. 51% of millennials use only social media to find financial professionals. More than half of investors say that social media plays a significant role in who they choose as an advisor. 92% of financial professionals say that social media has helped them get new clients. And lastly, 23% of Gen Zers, they said that they wouldn't even consider hiring a financial advisor that didn't have a social media presence. So as you can see here, numbers don't lie. These show you just how important social media and having that presence is. And therefore, so is your profile hygiene. With that being your first impression, it's extremely important, to come off how you would like to come off at a first glance.
Yeah, Kelly, and social is going to continue to play a key role in the life of the customer, really across all industries. And for financial professionals, you're able to create these personalized connections that help you form those authentic relationships that are just so valuable to your business. And you can stand out from the competition and make the most and showcase the hard work that you do every day in your job.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Connor. So let's go ahead and get started with our best practices. LinkedIn is up first, and we're just going to go through these examples for you all to show you how the details really do matter, especially with it being the professional network.
Yeah, we've got Brent here from GoPrime. He has a really well done profile. The first thing you notice when you look at it is his photo and then that branded cover photo with the GoPrime logo on there. You always want to include a professional profile picture like this, and then a correctly sized and formatted cover photo that reflects your institution or your own business. So you know immediately by just glancing at this before you even read anything that Brent is an MLO at GoPrime, and you don't want to have to make people like go on a hunt to see if they've got the right person or not. So we see his name, and then underneath in his headline, he has all of his information. He's got that he's a branch manager, a loan officer at GoPrime. He's got his license number and then that phone number front and center, so people can get in touch with him easily. He doesn't make it hard. And then if you also look beneath that, you'll see that blue contact info link, and that shows where he's located, and it also links out to his webpage and his profile. So great to include those details as well. And the link to the website is really important because it gives your audiences a call to action to follow so they know what the next steps are. And here they can call him, he's got his phone number, or they can visit the webpage, which will have even more details on it.
Yeah, great points, Connor. I love how Brent is so specific with the information that he's providing. It's important that you really don't leave any room for confusion here. It's key for conversion when your audience and your prospective customers are looking at your profile. So great job.
Okay, so here is just another part of a profile from a different mortgage loan officer at GoPrime. This is Zachary Adam. And you'll see his about section. It's very clear, but also very descriptive. I really like that he includes what he does and where he works, but also why he does it. It's detailed without being too long or too wordy. And that's the balance you want to go for. Say what you do and also why you do it. You want to keep people interested and engaged. And he also has a featured link. And he did that here, and it's his profile. So that's a great idea if you have a certain web page on your institution site, or maybe there's a certain resource you're always directing people to. And here you notice his says, what we do is far more important than lending and buying houses. facilitating dreams and honoring the start of a new home. And this is the kind of like humanity that you want to bring into your social media presence. It's more than just being a loan officer. He's showing why that matters to him and how he's really providing value for his customers. And then just a couple more notes for LinkedIn. You want to make sure you also add any skills or certifications that you have. Just list as much detail as possible to show your credibility and your experience and how you work with people. And then always check your privacy settings. Make sure you're not hidden from people, that they can find you easily just by searching for you. And then you can check your profile strength measurement under the settings as well.
Thank you, Connor, for the LinkedIn rundown. Those were some helpful tips for moving forward. And up next, let's move on to our second network, which is Facebook. And, I know I see a lot of our customers having a ton of success here because it's so widely used.
Yeah, I mean, so many people are still on Facebook, and it can really be a wealth of information if you use it correctly. So we'll look at Brent again and see what he's got going on. So first thing I notice is this is actually a page and not a personal profile, which is an important thing to note. And it's a little bit different than LinkedIn. And this way you don't have to use like your personal Facebook profile or anything. You can actually set up a business page. So Brent has his name and then GoPrime and his license number as part of his name. So that way, when people are looking up Brent, they find Brent the loan officer and not Brent the person. So just a little bit of a detail there to pay attention to. And then if you look to the right of his name, you'll see that blue contact us call to action button. And Facebook allows you to customize this. And so many people might find that a good place to include your email, your phone number, or a link to contact them. And again, just giving people as many options as possible to get in touch with you. And if we look over at his intro section, he's got a nice little intro that gives a value prop. He's again listed all the relevant contact information. He's got his hours. He's always open, where he's located. And it's a great example of showing how to give people exactly what they're looking for if they were searching for a loan officer. And then next to page, so his professional page, it says mortgage brokers. So we know exactly what he does. We don't have to have any confusion. And he's got that same professional profile photo. He's got the properly sized cover photo, and it's branded with GoPrime. And again, just each network is a different size cover photo. And Facebook, as you'll see, is a little bit bigger than the LinkedIn one. So make sure you're adhering to guidelines for sizing. And we'll definitely send out a resource after the webinar that will tell you what sizes to use for every network.
All right, and let's take a look at Zach's profile too. He has a little bit of variation, but it's still very good and informational. You've got to make your profile work for you.
Yeah, so Zach has a page here, but he's chosen to show up as GoPrime Mortgage of California, which is another option, just depending on how you want to show up in results. If you want to be found under a specific location or something like that, always just check with your institution to make sure you are staying in their good graces and that it's all okay with your team. But he's still got a clear call to action there. He's got his number. It would be really easy to give him a call. It's front and center. And then he has that same professional profile photo and the branded cover photo from GoPrime. So it just looks really sharp and put together. And then in his intro section, he lets people know that when they're ready to buy a home, he's there to help. And it's not overly pushy or salesy, which is something you definitely want to stay away from on your profiles. You never want to be aggressive. You just want to be helpful. You can show people that you're really good at your job and that you're there for them without overselling yourself in a way that would be not attractive to someone searching for you. And then his page is specifically set as a loan service, and he has his phone number again, his email, link to website. So always including those multiple ways for people to get in touch. you are giving them the power to do what works for them.
Absolutely. I agree with you, Connor. It's nice that there isn't just one right way to do something in this case, and really letting your authenticity kind of shine through, and doing what fits your business is always really important to keep in mind also.
Yeah, and that's what digital transformation is all about. It's showing up, meeting people where they are, and helping them find what they're looking for in ways that are easier than ever. So getting those optimized profiles is a right step in that direction.
Absolutely. All right. Up next, we've got Instagram, and looks like our Go Prime MLOs, Zach and Brent, are back at it again with some awesome setups.
Yeah, so Instagram is great because it's probably the easiest profile to manage. You're kind of limited to what you can actually display here. But that also means that you want to make that limited content really good and make the most of that small space that you have. And these guys have done an awesome job of showing exactly what they do. We see they both have mortgage in their usernames, and they have their license numbers, links to their web pages and their bios. And then if you look at Brent's bio, you'll see that he also has his phone number, and all of that info is lined up really nicely. And he has set up his profile as a professional page. And we know that because right under his name, it says loan service. So that's a great touch to add, is make sure you're using the professional version of Instagram. So you have your business info there.
Exactly. And, I love how they both have a clear and concise setup on their profiles while still having that call to action, which again is very useful, for potential customers who may be looking you up and looking at your profile. So that call to action is really important there.
Yeah, and then another thing to note, if you look at that first row of their posts, already everything is branded nicely with Go Prime logo and colors. So very easy to identify and looks really put together in these profiles.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then one more thing to point out for our own Denim Social Instagram page, you can see these little colored bubbles in our profile. And those are highlights that we've saved. And these are old stories that we have posted and then saved and kept for followers to be able to view and access anytime they want. And you can do this with your own stories and organize them any way you see fit. Often we'll see people do like reviews, achievements, advice, events they've been to, anything that works for you. And if you'll notice, our link in our bio is a link in bio. And this is a kind of link tree type feature where when you click on it, it gives viewers options to go where they want and what they want to see. So we have each of our posts linked out to a blog post or a page on our website. And there's a lot of free services for link trees. And it's just another option if you don't want your profile to go to one specific place, but you want to give people options for that call to action.
Yeah, definitely. I've got to say, I'm a huge fan of a link tree. I love how simple it is and how easy it makes to share, all of the information that you want to share with your audience. It's very organized, and it's definitely a clutter-free approach, which I also like. Just when thinking about customer conversion again, it's a nice thing to add. All right, up next is going to be our last network to review. So let's take a quick look at Twitter.
So Twitter, again, is a fairly simple network to set up your profile on. We've got Zach again here. We see he's got the branded cover photo, professional photo front and center. And then in his bio, he's got his license information, that he works in California. And he's got his call to action to go to that website for Go Prime as well. So it's simple, it's to the point, and we can easily find Zachary if we need to.
Yeah, I agree. I think he does a really nice job here. I love, again, just like you said, Connor, at first look, you know exactly what he does. So, in the eyes of maybe his audience, current customers, potential customers, his profile really solidifies him as a legitimate mortgage professional, which is really important to come across like that.
Yes, and our Denim Social profile is not too different either. One thing to note here is that we have a business page set up, which is something you can adjust in your settings, and we're listed as professional services, but there's a lot of options to choose depending on what your business does, and lots of categories that might better fit your own product and services. So we have our cover photo, we've got our bio, our link to our website, and you can also even pin certain tweets to the top of your profile. So if there's something that's about you or about a promotion you've got going on or something, you can pin it to the top of your page, and that way people can have that be the first thing they see when they're scrolling through and trying to find you.
Yeah, and don't forget, also, of course, just as long as it's approved by your marketing department and your compliance teams, while you should be keeping your profile image consistent, it is okay to change up your cover photo image from time to time. You can use it to highlight maybe promotions, events, or news about your business. So don't be afraid to mix it up in that way as well.
Yeah, Kelly. And another thing to point out with the photos and graphics, you'll notice on like Zach and Brett's profiles, they have their own photo as their profile picture, which if you're an individual, that's great because you want people to know you and see your face and be familiar with who you are. And just because we're a service and it's our brand page, we've opted to use the logo here. So that's just a little bit of a distinction on if you're trying to decide what to use in terms of graphics.
Absolutely. That's a great point, Connor. Well, Connor, thank you so much for zooming into each network and sharing all that information. Our hope is that, going through these examples and networks one by one, that it was helpful for you and your team to maybe get some new ideas on how to improve your profiles. And, if you're wondering whether there are some guidelines to follow for all the networks, the answer is yes, there is.
There are definitely some universal profile to do. So no matter which network is in question, we recommend doing these things. So update your profiles regularly, whether it's you have a new photo or a new graphic from your team, or you just want to make sure your contact info is up to date or any links you have in your bio. Something we kind of see a lot is someone has put a promotion or an event in their bio or in their link tree or something like that, or they've pinned it to their Twitter account. Just make sure once that event or promotion is over that you're updating and you don't have old information front and center on your profile. Then always adhere to institutional branding. So make sure anytime you add a photo or add any kind of like bio or link to your site or your page that it is to the guidelines of your organization. And our third to do is not always possible, but it's great if you can have the same name and username across all channels. Often a username is taken, it's not available, and that is totally fine. But I would make it easy for people to find you using kind of the same verbiage on each network. And then when you have all this stuff done, just be sure to share your links. A lot of people put their social profiles and their email signatures on their website, or they just tell their customers to follow them and help spread the word. And then above all, just keep it simple. You don't have to overcomplicate having the perfect profile, but just as we've walked through all of these steps, just taking the time to get all the little details right is really going to do you more good in the long run than anything else. And as we said before, make sure your settings are done so that you're not private and people can't find you, or that you're not restricting yourself to certain audiences. And then always check with your institution, just again, to make sure that you are following those guidelines. And then they also might have new assets or graphics you can be sharing. So you want to make sure you're taking advantage of any updates there.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Connor. Before we get to questions, let's just wrap everything up. Going back to where we started, just remember to keep, these few things in mind. First of all, people are looking you up on social media. So you want to make sure that you're making a good first impression for your audience and prospective customers, and really take the time to keep everything in check on your profiles. That's so important, across all of your networks, that you're coming across as professional and that people want to do business with you.
And it can seem overwhelming, Kelly, and like daunting to optimize your profiles, especially when you feel this pressure to make it look super nice and professional. But it just takes a little bit of time to do these things. So set aside a half hour in your week to review what we've gone over and make sure your networks are updated. And we will be sending out a checklist in our follow-up on just making sure you've got all the steps down. And then you can mark reminders on your calendar to freshen things up every few months and make sure everything's as it should be.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Connor. Okay, so let's go ahead and check to see if there are any questions. And obviously, as we go through these, feel free to add any more in the chat bubble if you would like. And it looks like we do have one question. How do I know what sizes to use for cover photos?
That is something we get a lot, and it is different on every single network. So we'll be sending out a resource that tells you, it breaks it down, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, on what size to use. And then hopefully you're able to talk to your institution and get the correctly sized cover photo, or use a tool like Canva to create your own.
Awesome. Okay, looks like we've got another one. Oh, this is a good question. So should I use the same photos and language on each network?
So often we have kind of the recommendation that every network has a little bit of a different flavor, if you will. They all have a different vibe. And so what works on Facebook might not necessarily be the best thing to share on Instagram. But you want to just make sure that even if it's a little different, like you're more casual on Instagram and more formal on LinkedIn, that it still has the same branding and you still have the same look. So you can edit your language a little bit or your messaging to be shorter, more concise, but you want it to all feel like it's still you and still part of your institution.
All right, and it looks like we have one more question in here. Should you use your name or the business name for your profile?
This is totally going to depend on the person, the organization. I think the main thing is that consistency again across the network. So I would pick one and stick with it whichever way you go. And then also just think about how you refer to yourself and your business and how your customers refer to you, and take those things into consideration when you're choosing how to identify yourself on social.
Awesome. Thank you, Connor. And I'm checking, and it looks like we're just about out of time as well. So it looks like that was our last question. Of course, if you all think of anything else, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help. Our emails are right there on the screen for you. And thank you all for joining. We hope that you found this as helpful as we do. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Bye, everyone.